imagine your nation has established freedom and justice around the world. Now imagine that you just learned that the bulk of our nation's entire professional army is surrounded by the enemy and days from being utterly wiped out. And whether you know it or not, you as an ordinary citizen can play a crucial role in whether your nation survives in liberty or falls to tyranny. It's May 1940. Western civilization hangs in the balance. Adolf Hitler's army is racing through Europe. The British Expeditionary Force retreats to the beaches of Dunkirk. Without a miracle, virtually all of the British professional army, nearly 400,000 men, will be lost, leaving the island nation defenseless. This was the situation faced by Winston Churchill, the new Prime Minister. He immediately called for a war cabinet and opened a war room. He knew it would take a miracle for the British nation to survive. It would be miraculous to get even 5% of the men home safely, especially given the miserable weather. The German Air Force was sinking ships at will in Dunkirk Harbor. Even without that, the water was too shallow for the Royal Navy destroyers to dock. The men were literally trapped without hope. On Sunday, May 26, 1940, King George VI called for an empire-wide day of prayer. He knew his kingdom was mere days from falling. The people responded. Lines formed outside Westminster Abbey for miles. All over the empire, in the Commonwealth, in Canada, India, Australia, and even America, people flocked to churches to pray for deliverance. God answered with three distinct miracles. First, Adolf Hitler inexplicably called a halt to the German ground advance, just 10 miles from Dunkirk. Some historians believe that he was afraid of the marshy land approaching Dunkirk, that it might trap his Panzer tanks. Others attribute the ground stop to a plea from Field Marshal Goering, who promised Der Führer that the German Luftwaffe, their air force, could destroy both the British Army and Navy on the Dunkirk beach and in the harbor. Regardless of the reason, the fact is, a stop was ordered, and this provided precious time for a miracle. The next miracle was that the weather suddenly changed. According to historian David Gardner, a storm of unprecedented fury broke over Flanders on Tuesday, 28 May, grounding the German Luftwaffe squadrons and enabling the British Army formations to move up on foot to the coast in the darkness of the storm and the violence of the rain, with scarcely any interruption from aircraft, unable to operate in such turbulent conditions. All that was good, but the harbor remained unusable. There was still no place to dock. David Boyle recounts in his book, Dunkirk, A Miracle of Deliverance, that one destroyer captain complained it took 12 hours to load 600 men by ferrying them from the beach. With hundreds of thousands trapped, it'd take a year or more at that pace. The very choppy waters of the English Channel made the rescue seem impossible. That's when the third miracle arrived, again from David Gardner. Despite the storm in Flanders, a calm, a great calm, such as rarely been experienced, settled over the English Channel during the days which followed, and its waters became as still as a mill pond. It was this quite extraordinary calm which enabled a vast armada of little ships, big ships, warships, privately owned motor cruisers from British rivers and estuaries, in fact almost anything that would float, to ply back and forth in a desperate bid to rescue as many of our men as possible. There were so many ships that Douglas Bader said it felt as if one could walk across the English Channel without getting one's feet wet, or at least that's what it looked like from the air. These small ships were able to approach the beach and help with the loading. These small ships encouraged the men and made it possible for over 338,000 soldiers to return home in the greatest evacuation of history. Without the miracle of Dunkirk, most agree the British would have fallen and Nazi terror would have spread around the globe. These three distinct miracles arrived just in time in answer to prayer. The British Navy, under the leadership of Admiral Ramsay, carefully plotted a rescue operation titled Project Dynamo. Winston Churchill's team had been hard at work trying to find solutions, but without the three divine interventions in response to King George's call for prayer, Britain surely would have been lost. Even then, there was one final ingredient necessary for a miracle. God did his work, The British Navy was at the ready, but the final ingredient was the British people. They supplied the faith, and they supplied the small ships that made the difference. The nation worked together in unity to stave off disaster. Whether Herr Hitler knew it or not, his doom may have been sealed with the miracle of Dunkirk, even if it did take another 5 years of painful war to bury the coffin. To face the threat of his day, Churchill relied on the British people and opened a war room to develop strategy. Today, we face a number of serious threats that may prove just as dangerous as the Nazis. The question is, are we prepared? America is counting on you. Whether you realize it or not, you have an integral role in determining whether the liberty experiment we call America succeeds or fails in this generation. But you can't face this challenge unequipped. You need a place to strategize and prepare for the threats that we have today. You need a war room of your own, and we built you one. Come with me as we enter the economic war room. Welcome to your war room, the economic war room. In World War II, the British faced an existential threat from Nazi Germany. Today, we face multiple threats to America, but this time, you are the target. Enemies of the United States know they can't easily defeat our military, but they can destroy our spirit, and they hope to take down our economy. These modern warfare strategies were developed at the KGB before the Soviet Union fell. They were later adapted by China and codified in a manual for 21st century conflict called unrestricted warfare. This methodology has been adopted by terror groups and nation states. What you need to know is that most of the means of unrestricted warfare target you, your money, your livelihood, and your way of life. Let me describe just a few. Cyber attacks. The Chinese authors said that a hacker could be more powerful and destructive than a nuclear bomb. But what are they hacking? We've seen ransomware, where hackers lock computers until a ransom is paid. We've seen banks breached, where depositors lose their life savings. We've seen credit cards hacked, personnel records, and this is just the beginning. It's been primarily a nuisance, but the day may be coming when this strategy does real and lasting damage. Are you prepared? Another Chinese strategy is a single man-made stock market crash. How would that impact you? What if you logged onto your brokerage account and found every investment you held was down 75% or worse? Would that disrupt you financially? How do you prepare? There are foreign efforts to assault our borders with migration crises, hoping to push America toward collapse. What would happen if gasoline prices tripled overnight, or the electric grid suddenly went down and wouldn't be back for a year or more? What if China stopped exporting rare earth minerals and Apple couldn't make iPhones? What if the Chinese cut us off from critical supplies needed to make antibiotics? All of these are forms of unrestricted warfare. They're not intended to hit our military, they're targeting you. We're not just facing external threats. Inside America, there's a lot of crony capitalism as well as radical leftists threatening your economic well-being. They're attacking our culture and our unity, trying to divide us with identity politics. The Chinese spoke of fostering street riots and a political crisis, and we're seeing that play out before our very eyes. You may feel boxed in by government and high taxes. You may be wondering, whatever happened to free speech? Or you may be shocked to learn that the next generation is embracing socialism. All of these are economic threats. Are you concerned for yourself, your children, your grandchildren? The simple truth is that we're facing a new kind of war. Like Churchill, we built a war room to develop strategic responses. We monitor the threats that we face and develop economic battle plans to respond. Never before have you been invited to this type of war room. Never before have you had personal access to the people with answers. We aren't here to be talking heads. We're in the war room to help you understand the threat and to develop your economic battle plan. You're going to meet amazing people here. In a single month, we met with Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, Frank Gaffney, former Congressman Bob McEwen, energy expert Jackie Pick, Lieutenant General Jerry Boykin, a former DIA officer, a white hat hacker, IT expert, and former presidential candidate Herman Cain. Your war room is connected around the world. We have access to the top experts in multiple fields who can join us in person or over secure communications on short notice. We have a battle board where we reveal our battle plans. And the map desk is a high-tech way to monitor developing threats. This is 21st century connectivity to global information from proprietary and open sources. I'm sick of the talking heads on television who only tell you the problems and never offer solutions. It's as if they kicked over a hornet's nest just to make you mad. Tired of politicians who only want us to give them money and to trust them even though nothing ever gets done. Every time you enter the war room, we'll share with you an economic battle plan specifically targeted to the threats we face. You'll get actionable direction on how to best protect your money, your livelihood, and your way of life. You may get specific questions to ask your financial advisor. You may learn of opportunities where you might look to invest, or you may get instruction on safeguarding your family. We're equipping you to weaponize your money so that whenever you invest or spend, you do so in a way to make the world a better place. Each visit to the war room should prepare you with hope and direction. There is good news. Like Churchill's small ships, you have the opportunity to make a real difference. America remains the land of the free and the home of the brave. If Americans stand up and stand together, we can not only win the economic war, we can export the hope of freedom to the ends of the earth. Our way of life is better. Future generations of Americans and other peoples around the world can and should benefit from the founding principles, from economic liberty and opportunity. It's up to you to help get them there. Like the small ships, you can be part of restoring American greatness. You can bring others into your war room. Together we can learn, prepare, and respond with powerful battle plans. My job is to equip you with the critical information you're going to need. You are the hero of this story. Your insider access is found at economicwarroom.com. When you arrive there, you'll find a link for a free trial of our show as well as all of CRTV, featuring conservative luminaries such as Mark Levin, Michelle Malkin, Phil Robertson, Stephen Crowder, Eric Bolling, and Steve Deace. Go to economicwarroom.com and click the link, Enter Your War Room. Then send this page to a dozen friends. Share this video with like-minded Americans who want to protect our liberty. This is how you can be one of the small ships helping save America from our Dunkirk moment. We need a growing army of economic patriots to win this war. More importantly, we need to train up future generations. This will require insider access to the best and most relevant information. It also requires a series of battle plans to protect you and defend you. Too many people are trapped in the ignorance of identity politics, socialism, and apathy. They don't realize they're being surrounded by the forces of evil, intent on wiping out our liberty. If you remember only one truth from Dunkirk, it should be that after prayer, the small ships made the difference. You are one of the small ships, destined to be the hero of our Dunkirk hour. President Reagan led America in winning the Cold War. We thought the enemy was defeated, and we rested in the hope that victory was permanent. But the threats have returned, and it's up to us to make the difference. If not us, who? If not now, when?
Our founding fathers here in this country brought about the only true revolution that has ever taken place in man's history. Every other revolution simply exchanged one set of rulers for another set of rulers. But only here did that little band of men so advanced beyond their time that the world has never seen their like since evolve the idea that you and I have within ourselves the God-given right and the ability to determine our own destiny. That freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. If you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.